So easy to be
Okay,
social
if I
here.
can have everybody's attention, please, let's get started. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Greeley Wells County League of Women Voters Candidate Forum for our candidate Platteville Town Forum. Sounds good. I am Barbara Winnery, and I'm from the League of Women Voters, and I'll be the moderator for this evening. Other members of the league have come down to help me as well, and they are Sybil Petchler and Hazel Gibson, who are going to be the timers. And over here at the table assisting me with questions, not only picking them up from all of you, but also screening them. We go through the questions to make sure first they're appropriate, and second, that they're clear and understandable. So they'll be doing that as well. So if you have a question during the forum, write it down on that 3x5 card that is folded up, and one of these ladies, Jessica Hoke and Janine Reed, will come around and pick those up. The 100-year-old League of Women Voters, and this year we are celebrating our 100th anniversary. We officially celebrated the beginning of the League of Women Voters on February 14th, 2020. It's been exactly 100 years, and we're also celebrating the passage of the 19th Amendment, giving the women the right to vote. So there's a lot to celebrate this year. Our organization is political, but it's a nonpartisan organization of men and women that encourages informed and active participation in democracy. We work to increase understanding of major policy issues, and we work to influence public policy through education and advocacy. Although the League advocates for issues after extensive study, it never endorses or opposes candidates. The purpose of this forum is to help inform voters about candidates. We hope that your time here spent tonight will help you make informed decisions on Election Day, which for you is April 7th, 2020. I'm just going to go over the rules of the forum. The candidates have all been informed about what those rules are and have signed papers indicating that they have read them, but so you have a better idea of what our rules are so that everybody has a fair chance to share their ideas with all of you, and you get a chance to hear what they say. It's, first of all, this forum is not a debate. There will be no rebuttals from candidates or comments from the audience, unlike those ones we've been watching on TV. Just want to let you know that. There'll be no applause or verbal outbursts will be allowed, but for this part, yes, you can do that. The purpose of this forum is to inform voters through respectful questioning and listening. No campaign banners, literature, handouts, t-shirts, or other campaign things will be allowed in this area. Campaign literature may only be placed on tables in the back or outside of the meeting room. Candidates and supporters, you please make sure you pick up your information when you leave. And the event sponsors are not responsible for the return of campaign materials. I don't know if there's some here. If there are some at the back, make sure that you take some time to check them out. Number 2, the candidates for each position will speak in alphabetical order by last name for their introductory statements. We will alternate opportunities for each candidate to speak first or last during the forum. All candidates for each position were invited to attend. If a candidate indicates that he or she will not or cannot attend, he or she may send a representative to make an opening and closing statement. But that representative will not be allowed to answer questions. We have the case tonight with Jeremiah Overman, who was unable to attend, and we did invite someone to come and speak on his behalf, and I don't think they've done that. So he's been given that opportunity. 3, candidates are not allowed to use any props, charts, signs, but are allowed to speak from notes. Each candidate will be provided with a pad and pen for note taking during the forum, or if they need one, we'll make sure to get
You
something.
need one, we've got them.
We have them if you need some. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
All right. The candidates have 1.5 minutes for opening remarks and 1 minute for a closing statement. 1 minute will be allowed for responses to questions. All candidates may respond to any question that has been asked of another candidate specifically. However, this is not mandatory. The candidates may choose to respond to every question, 1 minute for a closing statement. We'll try not to, we'll try to screen out any ones that are specifically directed at any particular candidate, because we want to get a better idea of how everyone thinks about a specific idea or issue. Time limits on responses will be strictly observed. A timekeeper will hold cards up, show what they look like.
Stop.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a 30-second, there's 30 seconds. So when stop card is shown, the speaker must end within 10 seconds. Speakers will be allowed to complete a sentence or a thought. We won't cut you off. The moderator will have the responsibility for enforcing time limits. The moderator will also have the responsibility to interrupt the proceedings to ensure the ground rules are followed. The moderator may interrupt candidates if she believes the candidates are straying from the subject or off topic. The candidates will not interrupt one another. The forum sponsors have some questions prepared ahead of time, and other written questions will be collected, as I indicated, from the audience. You'll see league members, and these ladies up here will pick up those cards. Once again, raise your hand if you want one of us to come and pick those up. And they'll pass through the screening committee also for duplication and appropriateness before being asked by the moderator. And also, sometimes our forums people, it's awful easy to videotape things on their phone and so forth. We just ask that if you do, it's at your discretion, and that if you're videotaping something, videotape the entire thing. And we only request that whatever you videotape be shown in its entirety.
No fake news.
No fake news, no cutting and pasting or whatever. All right, we have this evening we have one candidate running for mayor, a 2-year term, and one person is selected for that position. We have 4 candidates running for trustee, a 4-year term, and out of those 4, 3 are to be elected. Once again, we'll go in alphabetical order initially, and then I'll alternate questions so that each candidate will have the opportunity to answer a question first or last. And we'll start from left to right and off with a first introductory statement. Adrienne Sandoval, Mayor.
Hi, I'm Adrienne Sandoval, and I've been the mayor for the last 2 years. And I think, along with the trustees, we've been able to get some really great things accomplished. I think that we don't see eye to eye on everything, but we're able to work together, and that's very important to have a productive board. And I would really love the opportunity to continue for another 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Troy Blue.
My name is Troy Blum. I've been on the board for about 4 years, and I'm asking for your vote to continue on for another term. I just enjoy being a voice for the community. I think we've got a lot of good things that have been happening over the last 4 years, and a lot of good things that are coming up. We've got all these projects, sidewalks, road work, the sewer lagoon, new sewer plant coming, and with Troy and his vision and with our vision together, I think we have a really good camaraderie within the board that we have, and everybody works together. Like Adrienne said, we don't always agree on things, but we can work through things and get it done. And we're always looking at the best interests of our community, and they do things at a cost-effective way to get it done. So I've enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot. When you sit up at that level and sitting on the board and dealing with those kind of, you're dealing with administrative stuff, the projects, the money, the grants, and just a bunch of stuff that we're dealing with, and having to come up with a consensus to agree with what we're going to do, what's best for the community. So I just ask for your vote on April 7th for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, my name is
Curtis Morg. I've been a member since 2006. Shortly after I moved to Platteville, I joined the local Lions Club because I wanted to be able to serve my community. And as great as the Lions Club has been, a lot of work that they do is for individuals, families, and local projects. And now I want to really be able to get into the nitty-gritty work of what the town is involved in. So I took it upon myself to start attending council meetings, start learning what Public Works deals with, what Troy deals with, and oh yeah, some of the things they deal with gives me a headache just thinking about it. But I have enjoyed learning from them. Of course, the one thing that I always have to work on a personal level is my emotions. I'm a very passionate person. Sometimes my emotions get the better of me and I speak out of term, so I just have to learn to sit back and think before I speak. But I would love the opportunity to service our community even further along with what I've already been doing, so thank you.
Thank you. Nick Ralston.
My name is Nick Ralston. I've been a town member on the board for 2 years. I've filling in for an open position. I'd love to have your vote there on April 7th. For another 4 years, as well, been working with Adrian and Troy there and with the other members of the board. Said we don't always agree on things, but we come to a common ground if there's things I feel strongly about. Of course, I don't have a problem voicing my opinion, but I think for the most part we've been working really well together. I do enjoy working for the town and making a difference. I do love this community and the small town atmosphere and like to keep some of the traditions. Me coming from a small town as well, grew up in Bennett, Colorado. I like the small town atmosphere and would like to keep more of a small town appearance here. And I think we have something unique here with this town, but as well we do need to grow, and in small aspects we'll have to come to agreements on that, what areas we do need to grow in, like development downtown is one thing we've really been focusing on and getting that nice for everybody to enjoy. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll start with Troy Bloom. I'll ask him this question and then everybody else will have an opportunity to answer this as well. As the town of Platteville continues to experience increasing population growth and diversity, what are the most challenging issues facing Platteville today? And what are your priorities? What solutions do you propose to address these issues?
Thank you for the question. I think the biggest thing that we're dealing with, and we just had a meeting about it last week, was water. And you know, water is like gold here in Colorado, and we have enough to supply our community with what we have, but we need to continue on investing and looking for the future on making sure we have enough water to supply our community. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing that we're working on. And then we also have the sewer plant that we're doing some testing, and hopefully we get the new technology to put in here in our community. So that's a big investment for this community, $7 million for a plant, and water is something that we need to make sure that we're taking care of the community over the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you. Curtis Moore.
Two other aspects that the town has been working hard on. One, of course, is our road improvement with the Reynolds Avenue project coming up. That's a huge undertaking. It'll be a 2-year project. But also we have Main Street, which Main Street is still owned by CDOT, so we have a lot of negotiations there, a lot of talking that has to be done. But the other thing is, as far as expanding our community, really right now Platteville can only expand north or south, because to the west we have the river and the floodplain, and to the east we have railroad and other obstacles. So there's a lot of interesting challenges out there for us to face.
Thank you, Curtis. Nick Ralston.
Well, not to repeat what Troy and Curtis have said, but yes, water's a big issue here in Colorado. That is a priority there if we do want to develop more. Well, we're going to have to figure out more shares of water. Downtown urban development, getting our streets and our appearance of the town to get more people to come to Platteville. is, in my opinion, a big challenge there. If we want taxes, we don't wanna raise the taxes on the citizens, we wanna have more people come in and enjoy Town of Platteville, spend money here. So in that aspect, we wanna make it more appealing for everybody to enjoy our town and come here and spend their money here and enjoy it as we do.
Thank you very much. Adrian?
Well, so when we talk about growth, when we talk about diversity, I kind of thought about this question a little bit different direction. We all have different opinions. When I think of diversity, I think about different sides of the aisle, I think about different opinions, and it's really important that we can listen without defending and say without offending. We need to address everybody's concerns. I think everybody has a valid opinion and everybody has a different way of doing things, but for the most part, everybody just wants to get through life and have the best life possible. So that's one of the big things for me is I wanna make sure that I understand everybody and we can represent everybody, because we're nonpartisan here, we're supposed to represent everybody, so.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is first for Curtis Morton. Understanding that most Platteville residents, did I read this one already? Oh, good. Understanding that most Platteville residents work out of town, and many residents speak little or no English, how do you propose the town communicate effectively about local needs and activities with its residents?
I actually like that question a lot because I was recently approached by a member of our Hispanic community asking how we're going to bridge that gap. And I was honest with her. I said, honestly, I don't know because I don't speak Spanish at all. And so having someone like her to work with as a moderator or translator, however you want to put it, but also working with our local Catholic church, with the food bank there, because again, that's a largely Hispanic majority over there. So I want these options, I want these solutions. It's just reaching out to the people in town, whether it's at the church or the business owners, and figuring out how to do it.
Thank you. Nick Ralston?
I think we overlook our children as a big, useful asset. My children go here to Platteville and they have friends that speak Spanish and they learn a little bit more every day. And I think being a part of the youth committee, trustee or on the youth committee, a representative of the town board, bringing the youth together, brings the parents in. And I think by dividing or having different cultural backgrounds, having the children in the middle would help bring the community together a bit more. Because you not only have the kids that play with each other, become friends with their parents, and I mean, you have translators too in some way. That would help break that barrier of the language barrier. So I think focusing more with the youth, helping them come together would bring our community together on both sides of the aisle and break that cultural barrier.
Adrian Sandel?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Understanding that most Platteville residents work out of town, and many residents speak little or no English, how do you propose the town communicate effectively about local needs and activities with its residents?
Thank you. So this has been probably one of my biggest challenges. How do we reach everybody? Everybody has a different way. We have some who read information on the newspaper. We have some who get all their information on Facebook. We have some people who read stuff on our Platteville next door. We have some who it's hearsay. Everybody gets their information differently, and that has been a huge challenge. I would say we need to go to the people, but also we need you guys to come and help us, and where is a good spot for us to have all of the information in one area for everybody to reach. You know, some of us have computers, some of us don't. That's a big challenging question, to be honest.
Thank you. Troy Malone?
What we have, as far as communicating with the residents here, you know, we have the Everbridge that gets out there, calls people that are signed up for that to communicate to the community. People get emails and different things for people that aren't, you know, just reside here and work out of town. So there's communication that we use to make sure we try to get that information out to everybody in the community. So I think that with the staff on the town, they've done a great job trying to get that information out to everybody. And when we've had some big issues or stuff that's come up, I know that we have reached out to the Catholic Church and put out flyers and communicate, hey, this is what we're doing, so we can get some of their input and advice and stuff like that too. So we're not leaving that group of that demographic out of our decisions and what's happening in this community. So.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Nick Ralston will go first on this one. What plans do you have to increase and expand economic development and diversity in the area?
Well, we've come across a few ideas, and we've been working on expansion with West Farm over here, proposal on that. Ideas of expanding our infrastructure, downtown development, going north and bringing more businesses in town. Conversation's been out there for us to work on. It's very challenging, like Curtis had said, that we really expand north and south, so it just takes a little bit more planning. My ideas of coming into bringing more development in Platteville are, I guess, a bit novice, but I'm willing to learn as well.
Thank you. Adrienne Sandoval?
Thank you. So we have worked really hard on an economic development committee and group and plan. That doesn't just go up on the bookshelf. We're actually going to use it, implement it, and continue it. We have a committee who is focusing on that. We have a question on the ballot, putting some money allocating towards that economic development. I'd like to see things such as grant money come in to revitalize downtown. If we can have some grant money, give some grant money to some business owners downtown, make that look a little prettier. I think we can start a snowball effect. I think that will help tremendously. The economic group was made up of citizens, and this is how they felt, this is what they want to see, and I think we need to go forward with that.
Thank you. All right, this might be a follow-up question. Wait a second. No, yours.
He goes,
Oh,
and
sorry.
then,
I'm going slow.
Got a couple more here.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Where are we with it? Where are we with that? No, we'll do that. We'll keep on with, what are your plans to increase and expand economic development and diversity in the area?
Okay, thank you. So, we've got some grant money, and we had a coordinator help us, just a facilitator, work us with the economic development plan. And I think there was, some of you in this room were part of that, sat in some of the meetings that we went through and came up with some ideas and, kind of define our identity of this community. And so we have some information out there that we can give to companies and to residents and our ambassadors, like the county commissioners and upstate Colorado, to go market Platteville. When I moved here, my wife said we're 30 minutes from everywhere, and that's true. We're so, we're in the middle of everywhere you want to go here, and so having that brochure helps us establish a marketing tool for us to go out and search for developers or businesses to come here.
Thank you. Curtis Mark.
Excuse me. For me personally, I'm a very historical person. I've done a lot of research on the history of the town, and Platteville used to be a huge, thriving hub with hotels and hardware stores and soda fountain shops and trains, stuff like that went through. And so on the economic development part, I want to be able to show anyone interested in coming to town here what this town used to be like and can be again. Honestly, it may not be the same as it was before, but that's definitely a draw for some business owners to be like, wow, this place was a real thriving hub at one point.
Okay. Thank you. Now the follow-up question, which is kind of in the same area of economic development. And we'll start with Adrienne Sandoval first. How do you see yourself working with the newly formed economic development group, and what are potential challenges you think might impact that group's ability to be successful? Does that make sense?
That's a really good question. So, I mean, the committee is made up of citizens, people with better voice. I mean, it's you, it's what you guys want, it's what you wanna see. I think the biggest challenge is money. It always is. So, yeah, I think that's, gotta figure out how to pay for that stuff. It doesn't just happen for free.
Thank you. Fred Bloom?
So, that committee that for economic development falls under, I'm like the facilitator for that committee. And, you know, a lot of the members, have certain committees that they're oversee and facilitate. And so, I'm passionate about that, being part of the, facilitator for that committee. And, you know, like Adrian was saying, the biggest thing is, you know, everything is about money. And, so, you know, if we get some grants to do some things, to help out, you know, our development and, working with, the town board and the businesses downtown, you know, I like to see, my vision would be to see, you know, a small town downtown where you got retail and stuff, but, you know, when we gotta try to encourage the, property owners to attract some business, but then we also need to let the community know, we need to support these businesses that are coming in and shop and go to these places to, whatever that we bring into, our Main Street. So that's the biggest challenge, because people like to stop at King Supers or other places to get their stuff, and we can try to encourage them to shop here, so.
Okay, thank you. Curtis Moore?
I'm also on the economic development group. One of the things that I love about our group is everybody has a different idea. You know, there's no two people that are exactly alike, and the diversity of that is wonderful. One of the challenges that we've run into, besides money, is when we first started meeting with this group, we had 25, 30 people showing up at some of the meetings, and at the last one, I think we had 8. So I would invite everybody in the community to come check it out, because this is something, like Adrian said, this is not something that's gonna go up on a bookshelf. This is something that is really happening, and because of this, we have the potential to really change here in town. As well as supporting the local business owners. One of the things that's been floated around, was, if I'm saying this correctly, was like a incentive program for like the facades of their stores, to fix up the front of their stores, make it more attractive. That way when potential, developers come in, they see this.
Okay, thank you very much. Nick Ross?
Could you repeat that question again? Refresh me.
I wasn't back here. Okay, how do you see yourself working with the newly formed economic development group, and what are potential challenges you think might impact that group's ability to be successful?
Well, when Economic Development Group started, I was involved there, with work and, after life, or work, life after work. I wasn't able to attend some of the meetings, but, I would like to get back involved in that. I believe the greatest input is from the citizens, to get them more involved. Developing downtown, or downtown, I keep saying Denver. Well, I wanna say Denver, developing downtown Platteville, to get more businesses appealed to come into, Platteville is a big challenge, and I think with tax incentives or reimbursements or some sort, there would, entice more businesses to come into Platteville. And our location is a prime location for a lot of commuters and, highway traffic on both directions.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this one we'll start first with Troy Bloom. Here's one from the audience too. There's been some disappointment with the level of code enforcement in town, and the code enforcement officer position has only been intermittently filled in recent years. How do you propose to improve code enforcement?
That's a really good question. I know that's passionate for a lot of people. We want to have a clean community, and everybody consistent with what's on the code and what's in the books, and not one person taking advantage of you know, the lack of having a code enforcement officer. Our last one, you know, she had a lot of experience and was doing a great job. So I think, you know, as a town board, we've talked about that, and I know the town manager, it's an issue, and we just, I don't think we've sat down we haven't got there yet as far as come up with a plan to, replace the code enforcement, or how we're gonna handle that. I do know that we do have, one of the officers right now currently, trying to, when it's free time, to go around and do some code enforcement. So summertime is when that's, really, major issues come up in summer, so hopefully we can have somebody in place before the summertime happens, so we can, make sure our community is following, the codes and keeping the community clean and organized and stuff like that, so.
Okay, thank you. Curtis Mark.
This is just my personal opinion, but code enforcement is definitely a thankless job. Because unfortunately, as a code enforcement officer, oftentimes you have to, deal with residents that you don't necessarily wanna have to deal with. You don't wanna have to tell people that there's a problem. But this is such a small community that oftentimes, if there is an issue that arises, there are local groups that you can contact. Most of the residents in town are willing to help each other out. So there's a lot of issues when it comes to code enforcement that can be solved, internally. But it's also finding someone that is, personable with people, that can actually knock on doors and, hi, how you doing? Unfortunately there's a problem, but not be really strict with them, just work with them.
Okay, thank you. Nick Ralston.
My ideas with code enforcement, maybe make it a little bit more enticing for an officer to actually fill the position. I know, like Curtis said, it's a very thankless job, but it's very important to the community. So enticing an applicant to come into it would be a forward step. Right now, the officers are playing double duty, and it's very appreciative there that they are, but adding another officer just to do that and eliminating the code enforcement would be an option. Also possibly encouraging a community cleanup day other than just our 2 times a year. Do a community cleanup day. We have a 4-H group that's just opened up, reach out to them, reach out to the churches, see if we can organize people that are willing to help out and get the kids involved and let them know this is your home too, as well as ours. Let's all chip in and clean up your house, neighbor's house, and then even your grandparents' house, whoever needs it.
Okay. Thank you. Adrian Sandoval.
Thanks, that's a good one. So code enforcement is difficult, right? Just like they've all said, it's you have times in your life where things happen and you can't get to remove that dead branch right now, and you need help, or you need, there's always an explanation. There's some people who just don't want to clean up their yard, and those people are always fun. They get a color to life, but there are a lot of people who just, they want their yard clean, they want to get stuff done, but there's something happening in their life. So that doesn't take necessarily a black and white person to make that happen. It takes somebody who can understand and see things from a different perspective, and those people, they're not cheap, and you can't find them all the time. So finding a good quality code enforcement officer is very difficult, and I think Mr. Rankin has his hands full trying to find such a person. So, but anyways.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll start with Curtis Mark. Why do you want to serve on the Platteville Town Board, and what qualifications do you bring to the position?
Well, as I spoke before, I've served many years with the local Lions Club doing local projects, helping local residents, but now being on town board, I'd really get deep into the mechanics that make our town work. Just stuff like that, getting the education, learning why the sewer lagoon is such a big deal, learning why Main Street is such a big deal. It's like you don't know these things until you start going to town board and actually learning why they can't do this or why they have to do that. So just stuff like that, making life easier for our residents, improving our town, making it brighter.
Okay, thank you. Nick Ralston.
I enjoy being a voice of the people, interacting with people at the events, asking questions, taking information in. I'd like to continue moving forward with our plans of the community, downtown development, the unforsaken lagoon over there that we have to enforce by the state to improve. I really enjoy doing this with the community and moving forward and watching the town grow and becoming better. So I would like to continue another 4 years.
Okay. Thank you. Adrian Sandoval?
I'll start that down. Before I was mayor for the last 2 years, I was trustee for 4 years, and I absolutely love this job. I love it when people call and yell at me, not all the time, but, you know, comes with a job, right? Comes with a job. I love solving problems, I love helping people, I love being your voice. Sometimes I don't always see eye to eye because we all have our own opinions, but we have to put those aside and we have to fight for the people who elected us to be our voice, to be their voice. And that can be very difficult sometimes. But I truly love it. I love working with the board that we have, and I think we're gonna do good things.
Okay, thank you. Everyone.
I really enjoy the board like everybody else. It's an opportunity to be the voice of the community and help it go in the direction that we hear from people, residents and other people that we know in the community. I really have grown a lot by being on the board. There's like Curtis and everybody have said that, you know, you go to these meetings and you learn about all the aspects that's going on, and you know, you get to be part of the solution instead of just complaining about things. So I really enjoy being part of that and making things happen and working and being your voice for the on the town board.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'll start with Nick Ralston on this one. Oil and gas revenue is a considerable contributor to the finances of this town. With current stricter, thank you. With current stricter oil and, got it. Okay, with current stricter oil and gas regulations and the lower demand and lower oil prices, what ideas and or safeguards do you suggest to keep revenue stable in the future?
Well, I don't appreciate the state going around what the voters had voted on and pushing through the increased setbacks leading up to the communities. I mean, it is important for the community, if they are very dependable or dependent on oil and gas, to let them make the choice of what should be done with their community. Keeping oil and gas around, I think, is important to what we have here in Platteville. So any incentives, any insight, any participation the town can give forth to help that stay and keep them around would be important.
Okay, thank you. Adrian Sandoval?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of what the state's been pushing through either myself. We've done a really good job, Mr. Rankin previous boards have done a really good job of making sure that we take our severance money and we keep it as icing, if you will. We're not operating based on oil and gas. It will absolutely impact, you know, the price per barrel will absolutely impact what we see as far as property values. It will impact the taxes that we see, the revenue and the sales tax. A lot of that comes from oil and gas employees. And a lot of our citizens will be impacted as well. So I think we tried really well to do our due diligence and not make that a huge part of our budget, not have that solely what we rely on for operating expenses. And I also think that we need to, it just fell out of my head. It just fell right out. Yeah, but you know, I think we need to fight for our citizens and we need to do what we can do to keep this around and keep everybody working together.
Okay, thank you. Troy Golden.
So a lot of the small communities in Weld County count on the revenue that comes in from oil and gas, and a lot of people benefit from that. And a lot of people in Weld County especially work in the oil and gas industry, and that brings a lot of revenue, you know, more than just, you know, oil and gas. And, you know, people that move here, they buy houses and get jobs and buy groceries, and it generates all kinds of stuff. And I think one of the things, and our town manager has brought up, is we need to get some diversity. And so you know, at the town board, I know there's a lot to tackle on the town board, and one of them is to try to attract some other kind of, revenue sources, to help, maintain our budget so we can continue, working on infrastructure and having a good, community. So the biggest thing is to try to find some way to diversify, and get some other resources of revenue, just in case oil and gas, because oil and gas is always going up and down, so it's just a matter of time, it goes that down, bottom of the market, and then, we'll have to deal with what we have, so.
Okay, thank you. Curtis Moore?
So I'll start off by saying, I have a very deep passion for the environment, for protecting the environment. However, with that being said, when the ballot issue came up, as soon as they voted it down, I was like, oh, okay, no problem. For the state to step in and do what they did later with the bill, I was like, really? Okay, so all of a sudden our vote counted for nothing. And that was what truly upset me. When the issue came up at our town hall, when we had everyone meet over there, someone asked me if I was energy strong, and I said, well, it's not that I'm energy strong, I'm just energy uneducated. I don't know anyone in the industry. Now that I've learned about it, now it's like, wait a second, I wanna protect our environment, but not at the cost of hurting our families here. And a lot of our families depend on it, so there has to be a compromise somewhere.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'll start with Adrian Sandoval on this question. There are 4 questions on the ballot dealing with raising taxes and approving medical and retail marijuana stores. Do you support these measures or not, and why?
Well, anybody who knows me knows I am not a fan of marijuana at all whatsoever. For me, when we want to pass something because of money, it feels a little like selling my soul. I'm not for that. If there are other reasons as to why we should pass it, you know, it's, I don't know, creates more electricity, you know, that would be great, but more money is not good enough for me. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of it. The sales tax measure, we did very well, I think, with outlining where that money should go towards economic development, parks and recreation. We'll be very specific. So as far as increasing the sales tax from 3 to 4%, I am absolutely a fan of that. I personally will be voting yes on that one, but no on the rest.
Okay, thank you very much. Troy Bloom.
Thank you for that question. That's you know, as a board, we're struggling, you know, how do we go about doing this? Because we did the surveys and 50% want this and 50% don't. So it's like, okay, well, let's put it out to the voters, and the voters can make that decision, and then we can go from there. So, as far as the economic development, the tax increase for the 1%, there's gonna be some information out there that, economic development committee is gonna put out there about how much money is really coming in and, who is paying the majority of that, where 75% of the people that, are traveling through Platteville are the ones that are paying for, our sales tax, not the residents. So, there's some data that's gonna be put out there on some, media that we have, and, so we communicate to people that, you know, this is gonna, most of the people that, living out of town are gonna pay for this, and it's gonna help develop our community. As far as the marijuana stuff, I don't think we need that. You know, we got other communities around us that, have these stores and shops, and they can go and purchase the stuff there if they wanna partake in that kind of, stuff. So I don't think we need it to maintain, to get tax money and stuff in our community.
Okay, thank you. Curtis Moore.
As far as the sales tax increase, you know, at first everyone's like, oh, you know, they want more money, but after seeing the numbers, you know, 75% coming from out of town, it's like, oh, well, perfect, right there. Especially with the announcement of a new business coming into town that will probably increase our revenue in the form of the new convenience store and new fast food joint, so I'm looking forward to that. But also looking back and going, the last time we raised anything was over 10 years ago, so in my opinion, it's time. As far as marijuana goes, I am very split on this. Recreational, I have no desire for it. All medical, I personally do because I have multiple sclerosis, and so it has saved me on a lot of aches and pains. It has definitely helped a lot, so it's a touchy subject.
Thank you. Nick Roll.
Well, we all wanna develop our town and make it more appealing, so we have to generate the revenue somewhere, considering that it's not putting the tax burden directly on the citizens of Platteville, and a large amount is coming from people that are coming through, passing through and buying things here in Platteville. If we take that money that's dedicated to build our downtown infrastructure and development, I think that's a good thing. So I do approve the 1% increase there on our sales taxes. As the marijuana measured, I'm not approving that. I think it's kind of opening a Pandora's box. There's plenty of places around that you can go to if you want to take into it. You don't need to have it right here in town. Being that our town is so small, the school is not very far from anything. So I don't have my children there, don't want that to be an influence on them in later in life. I can't contest that it does maybe, I don't know, have a medical effect, a positive effect, but I, again, don't know, I'm not a doctor, so.
Okay. Thank you. We have one, and this, I'll just touch base with each of you before we have a final question. Follow up on the economic development, and I'll start with Troy Bloom. Could you elaborate on what is West Farm? Also, when is construction planned to start on 7-Eleven? Also, is there any confirmed new startups?
So West Farm is the property on the west of the South Platte River, and it just got sold to Sand and Gravel Company. So they're going to start in the next 5 years, based on what the town managers told us, is that they're going to start mining the gravel out of that. The benefit with it is going to allow us some access, river access and stuff over there for some trails and some recreation. So that's what that West Farm is. The other one is, what's the other?
How about the 7-Eleven?
The 7-Eleven, the dealership looks like it just did a closing last month, and so I think the developer is just trying to close on the property there, and I think based off of what the town managers told us, they want to start building that in around May time frame.
Okay. Curtis, any additional comments?
I will tell you, I'm very excited about 7-Eleven, especially with all of our southbound traffic coming from up north. It'll be a great place for them to stop at. We actually have friends that live in Dallas, Texas. They're familiar with the Laredo Taco Company, which is going in there as well, and they speak very highly of it, so it'll be another option here in town.
Thank you. Nick Ralston?
As we were talking about the last question there with the tax revenue, I think it's a great opportunity to have 7-Eleven, another option there in town to generate a little bit more tax revenue and help our town out. I love the idea of having that, and another place to eat, another option. As a West Farm, my concern is with that, the impact on that land over there. It used to be a wetland there for geese. They used to come in, and kind of sad to see that was gone, but curious to see how development's gonna go and how we're gonna mitigate the population going down there, utilizing the riverside of Platte River and being able to keep it clean as well. I mean, we have farmers downstream that we have to respect as well.
Okay. Thank you. Adrian Sandoval?
Everything that's being said is pros, that's happening, it's exciting. I do wanna add with West Farms, the allotment of that park, it's gonna be about 10 acres, Troy, that we're gonna be able to have next to the river. I think that's amazing. We're Platteville, right? Get some river access here. Parks, Trails, and Trees, ran by Spencer, will take over that and give us some ideas and some recommendations, so that'll be fun. Some silver linings with the sand and gravel pit. One of them is with the increased traffic, they've gotta go 2 ways. They can go down 32.5 to 21 to 66, or they gotta go down to Highway 85 via Welkin Road 34. If they end up hopefully making the numbers jive, I can't remember right now what that word is, that we can get a light on Wall County Road 34. If we can make that happen, then maybe we can get the truck route out of the middle of town. So I think that would be a very positive addition to this town. So I know, there's some differing opinions as far as that gravel pit goes, but I think if we look at the silver linings, I think, and we do this right, and we're very careful, I think it'll be a good thing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is the last question before we do the closing statements, and we'll start with Curtis Moore. What is your vision for growth and future for Platteville and its place in Weldon County?
My vision is to bring back some of the old mixed in with some of the new, and a lot of that goes back to the history of the town. This town has a very proud history, a very colorful history. If you go to our museum, you see what this town used to be like, and to be able to mix those two together, I think it would be absolutely beautiful. Again, working with the Economic Development Committee, but also working with local groups like the ladies at the museum, to make sure we're doing everything accurately. I see this town turning into pretty much the hub that it used to be.
Thank you. Nick Ralston.
Can you repeat that one more time? Sorry, I asked you as soon as you
Put
put
it
the
away.
question down, okay.
I got it. What is your vision for the growth and future for Platteville and its place in Weldon County?
My vision for growth is a positive aspect. I mean, we've got the downtown development, which will, I believe, and truly will believe that that'll bring growth and prosperity to the town, bring us back to, like Curtis said, back to like an old, I envision an old Western style, keeping the heritage of the town, embracing our heritage and history, as well as also embracing new prospects that want to come into Platteville and set root businesses and development. I know I said I'm from a small town, I like the small town feel, but I know that we're running out of land and there's going to have to be some kind of growth, but with growth comes more prosperity and more revenue for our town.
Thank you. Adrian Sandoval.
Well, if I could have my cake and eat it too, I'd really like to see Platteville stay small, but we do have to grow. We need to grow slow and steady. I think that's absolutely imperative to survival. And I want it to remain a small community, but a community who's not apathetic. I would like to see more community involvement. I would like to see more people out here finding out about what we're about and being involved. I think that's very, very important to creating community. Everybody kind of knows everybody. That's what I'd like to see.
Okay. Thank you. Barbara.
My vision for our community is, I'd like to see our downtown, our Main Street developed, and having some retail there to where people can go somewhere on their bicycles and go down to our Main Street and partake in, a coffee shop, ice cream, something, so we have that downtown community feel. Growth is inevitable. They predicted, with some of the stuff that we've gone to meetings with county commissioners that, Weld County is gonna grow to, right now we're about 250,000 people in the county. We're gonna grow to 700,000 people by the year 2050. So, what we talked about already is, get some water rights and some stuff, and I think as a board, we have a vision of our future, and we wanna make sure that we're gonna set up, the community for the future, so when this all happens, we're prepared instead of in shock mode and reacting to the growth that's happening around us. So I'm like everybody else has said that, they like that small town community feel, and I think we can still have that and have some good growth, and be responsible for that.
Thank you very much, everybody. And everybody has up to 1 minute to kind of summarize what they want to do and what they stand for in their closing statements, and we'll start with Nick Ralston down here at the side.
I always get nervous starting because I don't quite know where to start at, but, so I'm excited to continue if the town so sees me fit, to continue with the town board and I'd love to see this town grow downtown and develop a larger array of options for our town. Youth committee, is, like I said, I'm part of that. They're like to get a little bit more community involvement there on that and continue with pushing forward with people involvement with the community.
Okay, thank you. Curtis Moore.
So, I grew up in the VFW. My parents ran a bingo hall. I grew up with probably 25 little old ladies that I called grandma. But I considered them all family, and I'd be there for any one of them if anything came up. Most of the people sitting in the audience tonight I've known for many years, some since I moved to Platteville, and the same goes for them. If anything ever happened to them, I'd be there in a heartbeat, without hesitation. We don't always see eye to eye. We fight sometimes, just like family. And a few of them I've even called the mother type, because they've had to put me in my place when it's needed. But that's why I want to serve the community, because so much of this community is like family. And I want to make sure everyone is taken care of and well off for the future.
Thank you very much. Troy Bloom.
I would ask for your vote on April 7th. I really enjoy what we're doing with this community and our town board and the town staff. There's so many good things happening, and everything that we do is to improve our community and this town. And I enjoy being part of that and being that voice for you. With our town manager and the board and the staff, we're doing so much that is, we're getting things done, and we're staying fiscally responsible with our budget. And we actually have money to where we can, Larry had suggested let's invest it, so if we don't need that money, let's draw some bigger interest off of it, so we have some money. So, we're, like I said last time, we're forward thinking and trying to make sure that we're taking care of this community for the future. And I think everybody is we don't agree with everything, but we used to come up with a consensus, and things are moving forward in this community with the senior center and all the stuff that we've seen happen to development, the roads and sidewalks. So I can go on, and that 1 minute wasn't long enough, because I could sit here forever. But I asked for your vote, and I really enjoy it, and I want to still be part of that, be part of the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adrian Sandoval.
Alright, yeah, I asked for your vote as well. Last 6 years have been really educational and really fun. I want to keep continuing down the road. We've got a lot going on, a lot happening right now that's not done yet. And I'd really like the opportunity to continue. We've got the wastewater treatment plant, we've got Reynolds Avenue coming, and it's a lot of really exciting things. The economic development group, I think we're going to do big things, so I really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And could we have a round of applause for the I'd
really like to thank the League of Women Voters for coming out and doing this. This is awesome.
I'd like to thank the candidates for their participation in this forum, and we all appreciate your time and willingness to serve the community. I'd like to thank the audience for your interest in attending this forum. We applaud your efforts to inform yourselves. We encourage you to continue to learn more about the candidates in this election, about the ballot issues, which will also be on the ballot. If you need more information from a candidate, you may follow up after the forum, because I think we're going to have some refreshments afterwards. Just to let you know, this month the League is co-hosting an informational meeting. We're having a presentation on March 19th by the Citizens Climate Lobby, 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the Adamson Community Room, and the address is 4650 West 20th Street. They're called the CCL. They'll present information on a bipartisan measure to tax carbon emissions now going through the House of Representatives and Congress. And we don't know much about it either, so we're all here to learn what it's all about. If you have any information, you want additional information about what the League's doing, and we have several forums coming up, especially we have one in Windsor and Severance coming up, but they're all posted on our website, and that's Greeley, or League, it's LWV, GreeleyWeldCounty.org, And you can go on there and see what's going on as far as league activities or election activities. Census. Oh, we do want to remind you to make sure, when does it start, kick off? April 1st? March 12th. They'll kick off the census, make sure each and every one of you are included in that. I'm very confident, it's a very secure process. We need your participation, not only for funding for our state, because when they count numbers, that's an important piece to making decisions about the kind of the state fund or federal funding we get. And also, in 2021, we will be doing reapportionment of the state legislature and congressional districts. And I hear we might be getting 8 congressional districts. So, it's important, and inform your neighbors too, that each and every one of us and be involved in answering that questionnaire and getting it returned. And last but not least, we'd like to thank the Town of Platteville for partnering with us in this forum, the volunteers who have helped, and the candidates and the audience for their participation. Remember that this is a mail-in ballot. Ballots will be mailed out March 16th and should be returned by April 7th at 7 p.m. or by 7 p.m. You can always drop off your ballot in front of the town hall or in the ballot box inside the town hall. And with that, I'd like to remind you that our mission for the League of Women Voters is empowering voters and defending democracy. And thank you for everybody, and make sure you are the one who makes democracy work by getting involved in voting. Thank you, and let's have some discussion.